Jack Studios proudly presents Case File 13, Zombie Kid by J. Scott Savage, Chapter 1. What's taking so long in there? Did you fall in? Carter Benson called to the closed bathroom door. The only answer was a muffled something from the other side that he couldn't understand. Stretched out on a big red beanbag chair in his friend Nick Brithwaite's bedroom, Carter scarfed a handful of Doritos and burst into song. Standing on the toilet bowl, what can you do if you can't reach the roll? You're one sick tadpole, Angelo Runes said, without looking up from Nick's desk where he was putting the finishing touches on a very realistic-looking plastic vampire model. He's been in there for half an hour, Carter said around a mouthful of chips. Even my sister doesn't take that long. Kid ought to try prune juice or something. Angelo pushed back the dark hair hanging in his eyes, added 2 drops of red paint to the vampire's fangs, and studied the model with a critical gaze. His big brown eyes appeared positively larger behind his even bigger glasses. Apparently satisfied with his work, he set the model on the desk. He's not on the toilet. Nick said this is gonna be the scariest costume ever. Maybe it takes a while to put on. Carter rolled his eyes. He was a foot shorter than Angelo, and although he ate more than the other 2 boys combined, he never seemed to gain any weight. He also couldn't settle on a color for his short, spiky hair. This month it was dyed candy apple red, but a few spots of last month's day-glow yellow still showed through above his ears. My grandma can put on a costume faster than this, and she's so old she has hieroglyphics on a driver's license. Not a pretty picture, Angelo said with a shudder. Carter jumped to his feet, pressed one hand to his lower back, and shuffled across the room. Come here, Granny Goulash, a big wet macaroni, and I'll give you one of my stale oatmeal toffee bars. Or is this something I scooped out of Fluffy's litter box? I can't really seem to remember. Angelo grimaced. Remind me never to go to your grandma for Thanksgiving. Before Carter could respond, an ominous voice that sounded as though it were talking through a pile of wet blankets spoke from inside the bathroom. 2 more minutes. Angelo cocked an eyebrow and glanced toward the door. This ain't gonna be good. It was October 28th, 3 days before Halloween, the boys' favorite holiday of the year. Even better than Christmas or the 4th of July. The candy was great, and going to haunted houses was cool too, but their favorite part was coming up with costumes that were scarier than the ones from the year before. Carter dropped onto the chair and dug to the bottom of the chip bag. I bet it's a mummy. Nope, we did mummies 3 years ago, remember? You forgot to wear anything but your boxers under the bandages? How was I supposed to know it was gonna rain? Carter said, frowning at the memory of having to run home in nothing but his underwear and a few strands of soggy crepe paper. And the worst part was, he had only half a bag of candy when the downpour hit. In the 4 years since they discovered their muddled love for monsters and become best friends, Angelo, Carter, and Nick had gone trick-or-treating together every Halloween. One year, they all went as headless horsemen, complete with bloody neck stumps and gruesome severed heads. Another year, they were chainsaw-wielding surgeons with spare body parts sticking out of their lab coat pockets. They've become something of a legend around their neighborhood. Every year, the other kids and even the parents wanted to see what the 3 monster tears, as they called themselves, would be this year. It was Nick's turn to come up with the idea, and although they knew he'd been working on the costume for months, he'd remained extremely secretive about what the costume was. But tonight, 3 days before Halloween, was the big unveiling. Do you think there are such things as real monsters? Carter asked, eyeing Angelo's vampire model. You know, actual bloodsuckers and stuff like that. Or do you think they're only in the movies? Definitely not just the movies, Angelo said. I read the story last month about 3 hunters who got lost in some woods way up north. He was always looking for new stories and articles about monsters, haunted houses, aliens, and other creepy stuff he could add to his monster notebook. What happened to them? Carter opened the chip bag and dumped the last of the crumbs into his mouth. They hiked till it started getting dark, Angelo said, rubbing his glasses on the front of his shirt. Finally, they figured they weren't going to find their camp before morning, so they decided to light a fire. Only they just had 1 match. 2 of them went out looking for branches and stuff, while the 3rd guy carved up a couple of sticks. And? Carter asked, his voice quiet. Angelo wiped his palms on his jeans. When the 2 hunters came back from getting wood, there was a pile of kindling and a pocket knife on the ground. But the 3rd guy was gone. They shouted like crazy, but they couldn't find him anywhere. By then, it was getting really cold. They figured maybe he went to take a leak or something. So they were going to start the fire without him. Just before they lit the match, a cloud blew over the moon and everything went dark. Go on, Carter said, unconsciously crumpling up the empty bag in his hands. Angelo held his fingers in front of him as though striking a match. The guy lighted the match, and he see 2 pairs of eyes looking back at him. One is the 2nd hunter's, but the other set is red. Both of the guys swear they saw a hairy face with a big humped forehead and wicked sharp teeth as long as their fingers. They said the creature was squatting down, and its belly was all swollen out like it had just ate a huge meal. And here's the totally sick part. It was wearing the torn shirt of the 3rd hunter across its shoulders like a trophy. A werewolf? Carter breathed. Angelo nodded knowingly. The cop figured the only reason it didn't eat the other 2 guys was because it filled up on their friend. At that moment, the bathroom door creaked open a few inches, and a hand reached out and shut off the bathroom light. Both boys gasped as the door opened all the way. Carter and Angelo squinted into the bathroom, which was lit with a strange purple glow. Nick? Carter's voice came out shakier than he intended. That story about the hunters had really gotten to him. Instead of an answer, there came a wet chuckling sound. Something appeared in the doorway, and Carter's stomach somersaulted into his throat. The figure that stepped out of the bathroom was hunched slightly, but still stood a full foot taller than Nick. From one side of his face, a single eye glowed a baleful red. The other side was a mass of twitching muscle and shiny white bone. The creature stumbled into the room, and although Carter knew it had to be Nick, he still found himself pushing back into the beanbag. The creature was dressed in the torn rags of a shirt and pants. Through the rips and holes, its gray skin of its arms and legs appeared to be peeling away in spots. It moved with the slow, jerky steps of a puppet. Zombie, Angelo whispered, not sounding to steady himself. Hearing Angelo's voice, the figure swiveled its head towards him, The zombie's mouth opened in a snuggle-toothed grin, and the creature reached into the front of its shirt and pulled something out. For a moment, Carter couldn't see what it was holding, but he could tell something was moving in its fingers. Then he realized what it was. All the breath whooshed out of his lungs. The zombie gripped a human heart in its fist. The heart was beating as though taking a bite of a fresh apple. The zombie brought the beating heart towards its lips and said, "Behold your new costume." Like, subscribe, and hit that bell, especially if you don't want to miss Chapter 2.